The UFC has turned what could have been its best year in over a decade to a average to below average year, and it is just so damn frustrating because all of these fights were in the palm of your hands. I cannot believe that we aren't going to get these. Let's start with the fact that they're trying to make Alexander Volkanovski versus Yair Rodriguez for a second time. They're not going to give it to Movsar Evloev. They're not going to give it to anybody else. Not that there's even a rightfully deserving contender. The fact that they are passing up Movsar Evloev to give it to Yair Rodriguez is one of the most frustrating moves I have seen the UFC make in so damn long. Do we forget that we saw this fight less than 2 years ago? Do you think it's going to be any different? Do you think Yair Rodriguez has improved so much as a fighter since then? There's been nothing different. I cannot. But so he goes. Let me just give you the brief storyline. So he beats Brian Ortega via weird injury, arm dislocation. Right. He then gets a interim shot against Josh Emmett, submits him. UFC 284, the same card that Volk fought Islam for the belt. So then Volk versus Volk versus Yair happens at UFC 290. Volk schools him, wins every round, finishes him on the ground. So then after this, okay, he's on one loss in a title belt. That's not too bad, losing to Volkanovski. Okay, whatever. So you then fight Brian Ortega again. You have your rightful rematch. You win the first round. You get bitched in the second round. You get bitched in the third round, and you get submitted. So you're now 1-2 in your last three fights. So then he takes a year plus off. They give him a 37-year-old Patricio Pitbull, who was just coming from from Bellator, good fighter, 37 years old though, was also 1-2 in his last three. What do you know? They're perfect for each other, right? I know. So he then wins that in a pretty boring fight. Very few moments of entertainment in this fight. And now you're going to pass up on Diego Lopez versus Yair Rodriguez when there is a ton of beef, a ton of fan interest. Fan interest. You're going to pass this up to just do, you know what, just give Yair the Volk a second time. Sure. Who is behind this? The UFC is so out of touch, it's not even funny. I cannot believe that they think that this is a fight that any human being outside of some people in Mexico and some people in Valley Flow striking, nobody wants to see this. It's so frustrating. You're just doing a terrible promotion job. Yair Rodriguez versus Diego Lopez, beef at the press conference of UFC 314. Fucking entertaining. They're fighting on the same card. That makes all of the sense in the world. We didn't even know that they had problems, but apparently they had problems long before that. So then they have a ton of problems at the press conference, and they have this crazy moment. They're talking shit against each other. Volk wins the belt, beats Lopez. Okay, that's perfect. You're obviously not going to do a Lopez rematch. Okay, Yair just got to win against a guy that's not that good. Oh my God, it makes all the sense in the world. You do Lopez versus Yair. Of course. They don't like each other. It makes sense ranking-wise. How do you not do that? And in 320, it's been confirmed in Guadalajara, Mexico. Yair is Mexican, and what's his name? Diego Lopez trains in Mexico. You cannot have been given a better way to promote this fight. Everything was given to you in the palm of your hand, and you fucking let it slip through the cracks. I cannot fathom how bad the UFC is at promoting fights. It is bizarre. It is obscene how bad they are at promoting these fights. I just can't. Oh my gosh. Like, I would rather see Volkanovski retire now and never fight again than watch him fight Yair for a second time. And before I get comments, oh no, dude, no one wants to see Movsar fight for the belt. He's boring. Yair's so fun to watch, dude. Fuck yourself. Number one, if you want to say that Movsar is a boring fighter because he doesn't have a finish, I got news for you. That doesn't make you a boring fighter. If you claim that Movsar Evloev is boring after watching the Aljamain Sterling fight, the Diego Lopez fight, and the um Aljamain Sterling Diego Lopez, oh my gosh, Arnold Allen fight. If you claim that he's boring after watching the Aljamain Sterling, Arnold Allen, and Diego Lopez fight, I don't care about your opinion, and it doesn't matter. It's wrong. It's invalid. Yeah, your opinion is wrong. I know that's a logical fallacy. Your opinion is wrong if you think he's a boring fighter after watching those three fights. No, dude, Yair, bro. Yair's so fucking badass, dude. He brings in the whole Mexican crowd. Does he really, though? I know that he's Mexican. Does he really bring in the Mexican crowd? Does he really? Yeah, he's kind of a star in Mexico. He doesn't live in Mexico. He doesn't train in Mexico. He did one training camp in Mexico, and yeah, I'm not denying that he's a fan favorite in Mexico, but he's not some star that people rally behind. He's not like a Yuri Prohaska in the Czech Republic. He's not like a Khabib in Russia, and I could go on. He's not like these names. Cain Velasquez was a bigger star in Mexico. The UFC is trying so hard to push this Mexico narrative. I don't really know why. Let Mexico have boxing. Like Mexicans dominate boxing, and they're fucking entertaining as fuck. Most, if not, okay, most Mexican boxers are extremely entertaining, and it's been like that for decades upon decades. The UFC has very little Mexican star power right now. You have Diego Lopez, who doesn't even he's not even from Mexico, but he lives there, so he kind of represents it. He just lost the belt. Brandon Moreno is not champion. Alexa Grasso is not champion. Who else do you have? You got Raul Rosas Jr. He's 19 years old, very fun fighter, but nowhere near a belt, nowhere near a ranked opponent. You have got Edgar Chairez. Okay, the dude is 12-8. Yeah, bro. Christian what's his name? Carlos Hernandez just got cut from the sport. Like all of these fighters, like you don't have Mexican star power right now. Like, I'm not mad that they're going to Mexico, but they try so hard to push this UFC Noche thing, and then they're trying to make this guy champion, this person champion. And I don't know why. I don't know if they're trying to compete with boxing or if they're trying to match what boxing has. It just doesn't make sense. Why don't you play your own game? Yeah, if they make Yair Rodriguez versus Alexander Volkanovski too, I'm going to lose my mind. So help me God, I'm going to lose my mind because it just shows that the UFC is even more incompetent than I could even imagine. Another fight that we lost. Jon Jones versus Tom Aspinall. Not entirely the UFC's fault. Maybe I could be wrong by saying that. I'm not exactly sure, of course. I'm not in these negotiation rooms. I'm not calling Jon Jones on the phone and prompting him money, and I'm not hearing what he's saying to me. I don't know. All I know is that Jon Jones is the most pathetic excuse of a human being. We've already known this for years, by the way, but by the day it gets worse somehow. I don't know. By the day he becomes more of a deplorable human being. Like I'm not even going to give you a history lesson and say, oh yeah, no, he became champion at this month 3 years ago, and then he didn't defend, and he only fought once. I'm not even going to do that because we all know this. We've heard this same narrative be spewed for a year plus. He should have had the belt being vacated from him on November of 23 when Tom Aspinall won the interim belt against Sergey Pavlovich. The belt should have been taken from him then because he okay, fuck it. I'll give you a history lesson. Wins the belt in March of 2023, okay? Is then booked to fight in November 2023. Tears his shoulder, doesn't fight. And that shoulder injury, we knew when this happened, was a very bad one. It was going to require surgery, and he was going to be out for a very long time. Okay, yeah, you already made it interim because you had to have a headliner for the event. Dude, just take the belt away. He should have had the belt taken away so long ago, and then Tom Aspinall would have fought for the vacant belt. He would have become the undisputed UFC champion. You then could have done Jon Jones versus Tom Aspinall in like April of 24. I don't know, April of 24. You could have done that anytime. Anytime you could have done that fight. But then it doesn't happen. And then he's supposed to fight Stevie in November. And then he does fight Stevie in November. November of 24. We are late May of 2025. He has been champion for 26 months. He's fought one time in 26 months as champion. One time in 26 months. And we don't have a date. It was rumored to be in June, International Fight Week. Fucking, we just let go of that. That's not going to happen anymore. Then we were talking about November. It's going to happen in November in Madison Square Garden. We kind of all figured that. We knew, yeah, like it could happen in International Fight Week, but that's kind of a far fetch. It's probably not going to happen. And then, of course, Jon Jones said that he needs 6 months to prepare for Tom Aspinall. So on the year that you've had, that's not enough. You now need 6 months to prepare for Tom Aspinall. He says this in late March or April, so that would mean that he would be ready to fight in October. October is the time that they go to Abu Dhabi. Obviously, he's not going to fight Tom Aspinall in Abu Dhabi. He would obviously fight him in November in Madison Square Garden. He's from New York. It's the best arena in America. That makes all the sense in the world. You're going to fight him in November. And now we're not even going to have that because he's out there being Some words I'm not going to say on YouTube because my video will be demonetized, but he's out being a interesting human being in Thailand, riding on the backs of motorcycles, proving that he just doesn't care about it, because we all know the person that is so unbothered and doesn't care about, all of the hate, they're going to make that be known. They have to make that be known, of course. The people that care about the hate the least, they have to talk about it the most. That's just how that works, right? And then he's replying to fans saying that he's retired, or he's not actually retired, but you know he's just getting ready to pop out and show him. He's basically retired, but he's just ready to pop out and show him. How badass of Jon Jones, right? He does whatever the hell he wants, and then he's just gonna pop out and show him. This is the cool. Like, oh my gosh, this is it's absolute. It's I've never actually seen an adult human being act this way about any topic in human history. I don't think this has ever happened. Jon Jones is an anomaly. I've never seen a person handle a situation more immature in my entire life as a 37-year-old man. Could you imagine if after he tore his pec, he was like, you know what, dude? I won the heavyweight belt. Do I really need to defend it? Do I really need to prove to anybody that I'm the GOAT, even though I was the GOAT 2 fights ago, even before I was heavyweight champion? Do I have anything left to prove? I have 16 title wins. I have 12 defenses. I have nothing to prove. Let me just leave on my own terms. Let me just call it quits. Or after he fights Stipe Miocic, then you could have done it in Madison Square Garden. The fucking blueprint was handed to you. You finish him in round 3. The president is there. Everybody was watching this, but it was a great pay-per-view. Why not retire there? Why not retire after a badass knockout? The fucking president's there. He's shouting at the president in his speech. Why not just call it there? The UFC called his bluff from the very beginning. He asked for quote unquote fuck you money in order to fight him, and he was asking for 30 million. He knew he wasn't going to get that, and he wanted the narrative to be that the UFC didn't make the fight, and Jon Jones was down for the fight, but they just wouldn't make it. But yeah, another fight that we lost. Ilia Topuria versus Islam Makhachev. Now, we may see this fight. We may see it. I just really don't think so. I don't think it's going to happen. Number one, because I don't think I don't think Islam Makhachev is going to win the welterweight belt. I don't think he's going to. I think he's going to get TKO'd late. And Ilia Topuria, I believe he's going to become the lightweight champion. And Alexander Topuria was saying that, in the perfect world, Islam and Ilia win both of their fights, and then he meets him at welterweight. That's not going to fucking happen. We know damn well Ilia Topuria is not going to go up to welterweight and fight for the belt. It will never happen. No matter what he does. If he beats Sarukian, if he beats all of these guys, it's just not going to happen. It's not realistic. We need to live in the real world for a second. Even if Islam wins the welterweight belt, is he seriously going to want to cut weight back down to 155 pounds to fight Ilia Topuria? After he wins the welterweight belt, he's probably going to try to defend it, hopefully win, and then by that point he's going to retire. Why would he go back down to 155 pounds? He's 33 right now. He'll be 34 when the fight happens, because we wouldn't even have a date for it yet, but it's probably going to be October, I would assume. It'll be October in Abu Dhabi. And it just wouldn't make sense, because he's gonna take some time to grow into that weight class and bulk up maybe 10 pounds. He's 178 on fight day, so that's too small for welterweight. Jack Della Maddalena is not the biggest welterweight of all time, but he's 191, 192 in the cage. So that's going to be a big size discrepancy that you're giving up there, which wouldn't make any sense to just stay at. So you're going to move up a little bit. You're going to gain 10, 15 pounds. So then by that point, you're going to be 200 outside of camp. Why would you then deplete your body and go back down to 155 pounds? I mean, honestly, I think if he wins the welterweight belt, I don't even think he's going to fight again after that. He will have done everything that we wanted Khabib to do. No shade at Khabib for retiring. Your father passes away, your coach, your mentor. It's a very hard job to continue when basically the number one reason why you were fighting is no longer on this earth. So there's no shade to him. Islam just did everything that we wanted Khabib to do. He would have won the welterweight belt. He would have become the greatest lightweight of all time, having the most lightweight title defenses, which he's already done. If he beats Jack Della Maddalena, he will have tied Anderson Silva for the longest win streak in UFC history. So, it would be undeniable. If he wins the welterweight belt, he's basically the GOAT at that point. If he may be number 2 of all time, he's literally number 1 or number 2 if he wins the welterweight belt. Even if he doesn't finish him, if he just wins a 48-47 win, he technically is a double champ. We all know he's double champ, but for the sake of argument, let's say he's a two-way champion. All of the accolades that he has already, he would be the GOAT. There would be no reason for him to fight again. We're not going to see Islam Makhachev versus Ilia Topuria, and I need everybody to just come to grace with that. I'm not saying to be happy that it's not happening because it's a fucking travesty that it's not happening. It should have headlined International Fight Week, but for whatever reason it didn't. So, yeah. I'm not going to be the guy that calls Islam Makhachev a duck because he's done so much. He's fought guys that he shouldn't have fought. You got the whole quote in UFC PI, calling yourself the greatest of all time. That means you'll fight anybody that's given to you. Like, okay, he's avoiding Topuria a little bit, but it's not like he's avoiding Ilia Topuria to fight fucking Arman Sarukian or fight Dan Hooker again. Like, I would argue that when fighting for the welterweight belt against a guy who is insanely good is, at bare minimum, it's an equal level of challenge. So I'm not going to be the guy that calls him a dog. I'm a little annoyed that he's not taking the fight, but I can't really blame him for it. And I'm not going to get on his case about it. So the UFC has just fumbled a generational 2025. We would have been remembering 2025 as the greatest year in the UFC since maybe 2018, 2016 was amazing, 2014 was great. Like, wow, man, you had so many good years. And this should have been one of them. Imagine you had Jon Jones versus Tom Aspinall in November. You had Ilia Topuria versus Islam Makhachev in June. I wasn't surprised that we got Dricus du Plessis versus Hamzat Chimaev because I didn't even think Hamzat Chimaev could fight in America, but I also just didn't think that fight was going to happen. I thought we were going to have to do Imavov for an interim fucking thing because I thought Dricus was going to be out. I just did not think this was going to happen. So I'm very glad that this is happening. God forbid, there's no pullouts. But dude, we could have just had the most stacked second half of 2025, and it would have been the best year in the past 10, 12 years. And we're just not going to have it. We're going to have Volga versus Yair 2. And we're going to have Jack Della Maddalena versus Islam, which is fun. It's very fun. But it's not Ilia versus Makhachev. It's not that. No? Could have it like... Could have had all these fights. We could have had Yair Rodriguez versus Diego Lopez, co-main event, 5 rounds in Guadalajara, Mexico. Like, that would have been so fun, man. We could have had Movsar Evloev versus Volk on the same card. Oh man, that is just very devastating. Like, I could keep going on how bad the UFC is at making and promoting fights as of 2025, and I could go into Dana White, but it's just been done so many times. So my perspective wouldn't be anything new. Like and subscribe. Follow the TikTok and Instagram at Vince MMA1, and more videos coming soon.